Whether you're like me and tend to leave it till last day before Cash Cup to try and get to Champs, or whether you're just wanting to get to Champions League quickly this season, today I'm going to be going over my best tips for people who are looking to get Champions League in exactly one day or as quick as possible. Kicking it right off, I don't want to be that guy who just bombards you with a load of information you already know, and you walk away from this video and just change nothing. I genuinely want to give you things to do rather than just flood your brain with information that you already know, because there's so many of these videos I watched and I never used to walk away and actually change anything. All the tips were just the same stuff. First thing I'm going to talk about is your strategy. Well, the strategy I used when I'm trying to get to Champs is I think this is going to be so good for a load of you. First of all, I play Arena, mainly solo Arena, but any Arena mode will do. I think we're all aware that Trios is the best to play this season, so if you can hop on the Trios grind, then definitely go for it. But I tend to play solo Arena and just land a busy POI. So one of the three main POIs in this season, which are always contested no matter the bush drop, is Anvil Square, Brutal Bastion, or Mega City. Pick one of those 3 drop spots and I'll land here until I die 3 times in a row off spawn. I'm going to go over my top off spawn tips as well that I do, that even allows me to be dropping places like Mega City in Division 7 and Champions League and consistently win it off spawn. But I usually land at one of those 3 main POIs until I die 3 times off spawn. And the reason why I do this is because if your points are too low for your skill level, you should be able to easily wipe out these main POIs like Anvil Square, Brutal Bastion, and Mega City. When it comes to your next 3 games, I want you to land at one of these 3 POIs. Only pick one, don't mix and match, just stick with one POI and see if you can win it, because if you can win it once in every 3 times, you might lose a couple points when you die twice off spawn, but you'll make up for it when you come off spawn and get the amazing loot you get at Mega City, as well as all the kills you'll get. So you'll always constantly be making points. Because if you want to get Champs this season, you need to understand that yes, there is a ton of placement points, but nothing is better than getting those placement points and getting kill points as well. So it's so easy to get yourself 300, 400, 500 point games if you can win a place like Mega City. So it doesn't matter if you die 2 games in a row, because if you can win Mega City in that next game, you're almost guaranteed to get all those points back and get more with the amount of kills and loot you'll get. Let's say I die 3 times off spawn. I'm at a point where Mega City, Anvil Square, and Brutal Bastion is just too hard. Now what do we do? The first thing you need to do is understand that kill points are a must. We're definitely going to switch up the drop spot if it's too hard, but if you want to get Champs in one day, unless you're like just a couple 100 points away, you can easily camp to Champs. But if you're like 500 to 1,000 points away or something, you're going to need to get kills if you want to get Champs. And you need to understand this and get this camp mentality out of your head, especially when you're so far away from Champs and you're trying to do it in one day. So let's say these POIs are too hard for you now. What should you do? Well, it's fairly simple. Don't not land at a POI. This is the mistake loads of people make. They land at a random gas station and some random split drop maybe they do in duos. I mean, if you're having fun there, then go for it. Let's be honest, it's going to be a very, very long arena session if you're just landing at a random gas station, you're getting some loot, and then looking to fight some guy, and there's literally 20 people left, and you run around the map to get 2 kill 5th or something. It's going to be boring. It's going to be long. You're not going to really get many points. And personally, it's just not very fun for me, which is why I say land a POI. But don't land the main ones. Go land Knotty Nets or Frenzy Fields or something, still a place where you'll get people that will drop with you, but not the whole lobby. Citadel is a great place to land, as well as POIs where you can actually get loot and mats before fight, unlike Mega City, where you literally just prey on some guy just being in the open so you can get a free siphon that will carry you off spawn. Also, only land at one POI. Pick one POI, don't land at multiple, don't have like 3 different POIs. Pick one hotspot like Anvil, Mega City, and then pick yourself a low-key POI like Shattered Slabs or Knotty Nets and just stick with them. Don't jump from POI to POI, because when you only land at one POI, you get very good at fighting at your one spot. You start to learn the drops, you pick up a good loot route, and you get very, very good at winning off spawn. So when you hop from place to place, you don't learn that POI as quickly because you're learning a ton of them at once, and you'll find yourself dying a lot more than winning if you're not familiar with the POI. Next, I want to talk about my off spawn plan that allows me to get to Champs quickly. Obviously, if you know all the drops, it's best to have the best drop off spawn. which will help you win a POI. But I'm not going to say go make a drop map. If you have one, nice. If not, don't worry, because I don't use a drop map myself for Arena. I just go and do these things I'm going to tell you now. And the first thing is to have 1 or 2 buildings you only land at your POI. Don't make the biggest mistake I used to make when trying to get champs quick, and that was just landing at any building I see, any free building. Just have 1 or 2 buildings that you claim, only land there, learn the drops, learn the loot routes, and don't get carried away by off-spawn fights. This is something I did all the time. I used to get myself like an SMG or something off-spawn, hit 2 people fighting, and rush over to get the kill. And at this point, I just dropped. I got no mats, only 100 health, and like 50% of the time, you'll find yourself winning the fight and maybe getting a kill. The other 50% of the time, you'll just find yourself dying. It's just not even worth taking a big 50-50, especially as you've gained no points at all. You're just going to end up losing 60-70 points, and that's when you really get punished hard. When you're just constantly dying off spawn, and that's when you go from having a 500-point game and being literally 100 points away from champs to finding yourself 600 points away from champ. Instead, make yourself a proper loot route and stick to it. Only fight when you have to, unless you have a minimum of 100 mats. You preferably want 500, because if you have 500, you'll find you can literally win any fight with 500 mats. But make sure you have a minimum of at least over 100 mats at all times. If you have much over, like you have 300, 400, that's good. But don't fall under 100 mats. If you find you do, and you can get away and escape, run away, refarm, and then come back once you're over 100 and go back to fight the guy. Unless you've obviously got a big advantage, don't run away, because I promise you, if you don't have at least 100 wood, you will end up losing a lot more fights than you win. My next off spawn tip is fighting without good loot and 200 health. Like I said before, I used to always get carried away, but don't worry about fighting people until you have a decent shotgun and 200 health, 100 health and 100 shield. If you do not have 100 shield, don't even think about fighting unless you absolutely must, and some kids full keying you. Don't just like run away, obviously fight them back, but you're making your life 100 times harder for yourself when you're running over to a building as soon as you pick up a shotgun and SMG. Get yourself 100 health, get yourself that better shotgun, and then look to go and fight. Always ensure you are on 100 shield before fighting. So quickly to go over what my off-spawn plan is, and to summarise it all up for you, I recommend you write this down somewhere so you'll remember it. Pick 1 to 2 buildings to land at, make sure you've got a good shotgun before fighting, make sure you've got 100 shield before fighting, and always be over 100 mats, preferably 500 mats, and I'm going to add one more on. Don't be afraid to run away and come back. And if you stick to these, more likely than not, you will win 90% of your off-spawn fights, because it gives you the upper hand, you have a shotgun you can actually use, you've got the maximum health, and you have mats. It's fairly easy to win an off-spawn fight when you have this. Now, I've gone over my strategy off-spawn and my overall plan. You're probably thinking, what should you do if you're playing solos and it's just getting too hard? This happens to everyone. Like I said before, trios is the best mode out of all the modes. If you don't enjoy playing trios like I do, at least try to play duos, because trios is the easiest to get points, then it's duos, and lastly it's solos, and solos is also the hardest mode. In trios, especially if you've got a good team, it's so easy to get points. If your trio are all bots, then it's probably better to play solos, but trios is the best mode for making points, and the easiest mode to pick up a ton of kills. So play trios if you can. If you're like me and don't really like trios that much, then at least play duos. Solos is the hardest mode, especially when hitting that Div 7 and a few points away from reaching champs. And if you're playing a day before Cash Cup as well, everyone will start playing solos like they're trying to qualify to World Cup final. And they all have the weirdest playstyles. So play duos or trios where it's a bit more relaxed, and still do that off-spawn plan I gave you before, and do the POI thing as well. Maybe try Anvil or something and you die 3 times in a row. Just say, guys, let's try Shattered Slabs or Slappy Shots or somewhere different that isn't one of those 3 mega busy POIs at the moment. And going into my final few tips, and this is to take breaks when you're on a big losing streak. This is something I never used to do, and I'd get to like 100 points away from champs, I'd go on a massive losing streak, now I'd be 300 away, and at this point I should have just gone for a break, but I don't go for a break and end up going like 500 points away or even 1,000 points away from champs before I finally realise, okay, I need to take a 5-minute break. So don't be afraid to take breaks, especially on losing streaks. Go reset your mind for a few minutes and your points will thank you for it. And my final tip is to stop worrying about your points. Just play and have fun. If you start worrying and stressing because you've lost 60 points, then you're just going to start getting annoyed. And if you find yourself getting annoyed, again, go take a break, then come back with a refreshed mindset. Because when you're really annoyed and you're playing, you're just never going to play at your best. You're frustrated, your mind isn't in the right place, and they're all my tips I personally recommend for getting to champs quickly or in one day. Obviously, you know how good you are as a fighter and can change certain parts if you want, but this is personally what I've been doing when I tried to get champs as quick as I can. I realised that I've still got to get those kill points. They are really important, and I just optimise how I play based on how hard my lobbies are. I've done this before Cash Cups or even one day before FNCS in the past, and it tends to work really well. I've had times where I needed to get like 1,000 points or something before playing FNCS, and this is what I do because you got to understand there's so many points up when you're getting killed. So I recommend just give it a go. If you did enjoy the video, please open up Fortnite now. Go over to the item shop and just type in code Taven. It's free for you and it supports me so much more than you could possibly ever imagine, especially as I'm a small creator. So if you do want to support me, that would mean the world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment down below as I respond to all comments. Also, if you're struggling with fighting in arena, I go over an in-depth VOD review of how I'm able to drop 20+ kill wins in the new season, and you can watch that by clicking on the video on screen now.